Thank you so much for joining us here on Idaho Today. It is our back to school special. Let's all take a deep breath, right? We all remember the feeling as a kid as summer is fast and then all of a sudden it comes to an end, but then we're getting ready to learn with our friends and go back to the classroom. But for some students, this time can actually bring some added stress. So we have with us our friend Kathy from Warm Springs Counseling Center to share some advice on how we can all better prepare our kiddos and in some ways, prepare ourselves for the return to the classroom. So, Kathy, it is always great to have you here. You have such great advice. And for those of us who might be kind of, live in our own little world right now, and we're thinking, this is just a great time. For some, it can be stressful. So, what makes kids heading back to the classroom a source of stress?
Yeah, well, stress isn't always bad, right? We all experience stress. But when it gets to a higher level, that's when we start seeing a lot of behaviors. And behaviors are important because they tell us what's really going on. When kids don't use their words, right? So if they start, stomach aches, headaches, temper tantrums, not wanting to leave, it's oftentimes because they don't know what to expect. Right? And so a lot of times going back to school, there's expectations, there's the fear of, will I make friends? Will I get along with my teacher? Am I smart? All those things start going on. And so it's important to pay attention. And a lot of those will be through behavior.
Okay. And what are some of those behaviors? You kind of mentioned some of the physical ones, right? Because like you'd mentioned, sometimes when a child isn't able to express themselves with words and maybe even identify an emotion or a feeling, they internalize it, but the body responds. And there are adults that also do this as well.
We all do it.
I don't want to just kind of, just kids. Yeah, adults do that too.
We all do this. We all do this.
Especially our kids though, right? So what are some of those symptoms?
So some of them, like I mentioned, but others would be, isolating. Doing more, like everyone knows kind of the typical of their kid. Right? Parents know their kids. So at this point, if you start noticing behaviors that are different, isolating, just kind of being grumpy, right? Which this is more so than normal, right? We know the typical, but this is when it's higher. And other things to look for too is, do they seem to just not be there? Like when you're talking to them, do they seem to be elsewhere?
Okay, that's a really good one. All right, kind of the glass-eyed look. I've seen this before. I know what you're talking about.
Exactly, because when we're stressed and we're anxious, we get in our heads.
Totally.
And that's where we stay. So everything else around us is like, right? This is where we're at.
Just noise. So what can we do as parents then to help our kids kind of come back down to baseline, right? And reconnect and kind of center themselves and go, okay, I've got this. And know that they're supported. So how do we do that?
The first piece is just like you're saying, coming down and communicating. So when it comes to going back to school, communicating with your kids and your kids' teacher, that's really key. Because we don't always know what's going on. And so we rely on teachers to let us know. Another would be to identify your own feelings to your kids. This is huge because then kids get permission and they learn how to identify their feelings. So my kid probably gets annoyed because I do this all the time. But, the worst is like mornings, right? You're stressed, you're gonna run late.
You're tired.
Yes, exactly. So I will name my feelings like, oh man, I am anxious, we are running late, so help me breathe. So I'll actually have him help me breathe because that's what I have him doing when he needs to calm down.
Brilliant.
So oftentimes, even if kids don't act like they listen, they do. And they watch. And so if we can identify our emotions, excited, nervous, anxious.
I love that because you're leading by example.
Yes.
You're also helping your child, like you said, giving them permission to acknowledge their feelings, not bury them, acknowledge them and learn to work through them. Opposed to ignore them. And accept them, right? Which is hard, especially if you learn at a young age to not, just shove it all down. We don't want to do that.
Put on a happy face.
Just cover it up, you're good. No, acknowledge it, but then let it go. and then find that confidence, right? And know you're not alone. That's the other thing too that's so great about that. Leading by example, but also you're allowing your child to know they're not alone.
No.
Everyone goes through this.
Everyone.
It's normal and okay to feel anxious on your first day.
It's human.
Yes, it's very human.
Very
and
human.
also so important to make sure that you're having that conversation with the teacher too, so you have that touch point, right? And know that they play a role too, as well as making your child comfortable or helping your child feel comfortable in the classroom. And really quick, I just want to point out before we wrap here, because we are running out of some time, it's important probably, I'd imagine, to have your kids go to that back to school night, right? That's a great opportunity for the parent then to have that communication, be introduced to the setting, to the teacher, and also give your student an opportunity to go, okay, kind of connect.
I know where I'm going to sit. I know who my teacher is, where my class is. Because a lot of times it's just information. The more information we have, the more in control we feel.
Yes, the more in control we feel, and at least know that we can at least control ourselves, though we cannot control what happens around us.
Yes.
Oh, all good lessons for kids, but for parents too.
Yes.
So hopefully we're all absorbing this and we can help each other.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
It's good to see you.
Love, love, love your information. Don't worry, we're going to have her back because I know we're going to need help as we head towards the holidays, because that's just going to be the next step in the whole journey of going back to school. All right, everyone, stick around. We got a lot more to come right here on Idaho Today right after the break.